Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls video with me, Sherman. Today is the day, guys. If anyone here has early access, today's your day. Morrowind officially launches for early access players. Since the NDA is lifted, I can talk about a lot of this stuff. I can give you my thoughts and my experiences of it up to this point from test. And to be honest, I didn't think there was going to be a lot of other changes from the first patch notes that were dropped 3.0.0 up until now. There really wasn't. There was just instrumental changes. There was major changes right away, and then instrumental changes throughout the time to get us to where we needed to be. We'll go over all this stuff. Like I said, I'm just going to go through kind of skimming through the patch notes. I'm going to explain the new additions. I'm going to explain a lot of the new stuff, and then I'm going to go into the changes, the base changes to the game, and where that stuff is coming from. We're not going to go through all the patch notes. It's just too much. I would be here. I'd have to do 2 videos. So to fit it all into one, I'm just going to kind of skim through it. So with today's patch, anyone who has early access, so from the 22nd through the 6th, will have access to Morrowind, the Warden, and Battlegrounds, and of course the new trial, the Halls of Fabrication. Now, how many people pre-ordered, I don't know, because of course I don't work for the company, but hopefully it's a lot of people, or enough people to kind of, and I know why they're doing this. It's because if they don't separate, like spread out the release dates, or the release time, when the PC officially launched on the 6th, if they were waiting till then, there would be just too many people in Morrowind, probably, to take care of the situation, and that's why they're kind of breaking it up like this. The other reason why is for any bugs and stuff that we can find, any more of us players can find between now and the official launch, we will be able to do that. Now the official launch is still on the 6th for all things PC, console, all that, but if you pre-ordered, you get early access. So Battlegrounds, we got new Battlegrounds, we got the new Land of Vardenfell, we got the new Warden class. There's 3 modes to the Battlegrounds. We'll get to those in a second, what they are in the 3 maps. We also got the Halls of Fabrication trial, like I said. There's a normal and event mode, of course, and a hard mode. There's new motives, homes and furnishings, collectibles, titles, and even dies. We got some new base game changes. The champion system got redone, the master rip merchant, Cyrodiil rewards, and even a new inverse kinetic system, which is kind of weird. It makes your character lean when they run, they tilt, they do all kinds, they stand funny because of the rocks. I think it's a good system, but it still has a few flaws in it, to be honest. So going down the table of contents, as you can see, Morrowind comes with new public dungeons, actually 2 of them. The Warden class, new Battlegrounds, new trial, the Halls of Fabrication. New item sets, they don't mention it here, but there's 15 of them. New crafting motives, new homes, new furnishings and furnishing plans, new collectibles, new titles, and new dies. And then, of course, the base game or other changes that are coming in with it. Champion point increase, going up to 630 now. Champion system rebalancing, ability and champion respec, skill line unlocking, adjusted experience for levels 1 to 50, master Writ Merchant update, normal mode dungeon trophies, which is kind of cool, new hireling males, PvP campaign updates, Cyrodiil reward updates, new ESO Plus benefit, double bank capacity. You guys who have ESO Plus, this is an automatic thing that you'll get if you already have it maxed out. You'll automatically get the double bank capacity. You don't have to pay anything extra. Additional purchasable character slots, you can go from 12 to 14 now. The inverse kinetic system, and then the miscellaneous UI updates. So they did do improvements to Dark Brotherhood, Imperial City, Orsinium, Shadows of the Hist, and the Thieves Guild. Minor adjustments there. Base game patch, Alliance War, art and animation, audio, game, combat and gameplay, crafting and economy, all these kind of things. I'm not even going to get into all that yet. So we're going to start right here with Morrowind. So with the new Morrowind, anytime you create a new character and select play tutorial, you will start in the new tutorial specifically for Morrowind players. And then alternatively, you can choose to skip the tutorial, and your character will automatically start at the docks of Saint Denis in the new Vardenfell zone. So that's something new. Upgrading to Morrowind. As long as you upgrade now, between now and June 6th, you'll get access to the, well, actually, if you upgrade between now and June 6th, I think you get access to it when June 6th gets here. You don't get it before. New public dungeons. So there's 2 new public dungeons. Both of these are really cool. Now here's what I want to talk. Why I want to talk about these real quick, and the reason why is because of how cool these are. When I played Orsinium, I thought it was really cool that we got these 2 huge public dungeons. I thought they were big, a lot bigger than any of the public dungeons I've ever dealt with in the past. These are bigger. I mean, Forgotten Waste feels like a huge playable area. The I can't even pronounce it, is even just as big, and it's really fun. It's just really cool. Both of these are really cool. That's all I can say. New playable class, the Warden. Now the Warden has 3 trees. It has the Animal Companion tree, the Green Balance tree, and the Winter's Embrace. And each tree deals with a different part of the way the Warden's supposed to play. You have the Animal Companion tree, which is your magic and stamina DPS tree. And you have your Green Balance tree, which is more of your healing tree. And then you have your Winter's Embrace, which is more of a tank tree. Now there is a couple skills in the Winter's Embrace that you can morph to be magic DPS, or go with that can be magic DPS, but there's only one of them really that you can use for it. There is a second one that is based on your max health. It heals you for a percentage of it, but it's not one I would suggest using. You won't be able to make an ice DPS character. It's only ice tank, and that is kind of an offset. Green Balance is really good if you want to be a healer. There's even ways that you can take some stamina heals, which is kind of cool, and even some non-stamina heals, which can help your group in a lot of ways. PvP Battlegrounds. So we got 3 new battlegrounds. They're the Foyata Quarry, the Alid Kark, and the Alora, which are both have their own themes. One is like a lava pool area, one's a Dwemer place, and one's a Daedric place. There's 3 game modes: Team Deathmatch, Capture the Flag, and Domination. Each of them are really cool. I like Capture the Flag more than the other ones. Team Deathmatch isn't too bad. Capture the Flag is really fun. Domination's okay, but it's more like a functified Capture the Flag, and can be kind of at times, but it's just as fun. I do like all 3 of these. I think that they're really good, but I do think there could be there's a little bit more they could do with them and make them a little bit more exciting. And you can solo queue with, so you can queue solo or with a group of 2 or 3 or 4 players in the battleground. Large groups cannot queue for battlegrounds, so it can only go up to 4-player groups, and you'll wind up battling against 2 other 4-player groups. These are 12-man battles, by the way, so it's a 3-way battle still. And they're really fun, and like I said, there's a lot of things to them. You earn medals for different things in the matches. You get there is leaderboards, and there is also AP earned from doing this, so you can earn AP from it, and some. There's also gear sets that you can earn. We'll get to those in a second. Halls of Fabrication, the new 12-player trial. This I did do. Now I did do it both on normal and vet mode. Normal mode, the group I was with completed. On vet mode, we didn't complete, and that's because it takes a lot more organization than in normal mode. So it's a little bit. You just need a really good organized group to complete veteran. Is it more difficult than the other trials? I think it's on par with the other trials, to be honest. I think that the new mechanics of it make it different and set it apart, and I think that's what's going to make it really cool. So, but that's really all I want to say about it. I mean, I'm not, to be honest with you guys, I'm not a big, trial player, and the reason why I'm not a big trial player, because I don't think any of the sets in there are worth anything for a person who likes to play all the different content, but I do enjoy doing them, because I love the difficulty. So 15 new item sets. Check this out. So 3 new craftable sets. We have Assassin's Guile. This is going to be really good for those kind of players who want to take their Nightblade, their any class, and really go with more of a hybrid build. But this Assassin's Guile is really geared towards the Nightblade. If you haven't messed with the set, try it out and see. It does fit really well into the Nightblade spectrum because of what it does. Daedric Trickery, another really good one if you're more of a tanky player and you want kind of the more benefit from hybrid type stuff. This is a really good one. A lot of people think that it's better for healer. I think it's better for tank, personally. The Shackle Breaker is the one I think that's more universal, because it does give you weapon and spell damage, gives you stamina and magic recovery, and then it gives you 2,000 max stamina and 2,000 max magicka. This is something we have not seen added to the game yet. Now, we did have Palinals, and Palinals was pretty good, but it wasn't like this. It didn't give you extra max magicka or stamina, and this is kind of a cool set when you get into it. And if you put tri-stats on it all, you'll end up with over 5,000 plus max magicka and stamina, and I think it's like 3,000 something max health, or 5,000 something max health. So it kind of balances out with that. It's really just, it's kind of an OP set. So it's just if you're into the hybrid type thing. Now, I know a lot of people aren't, but I will say this: I did get a chance to try it on one character, and that's all I needed, was to try it. I have an idea for this set. I think it's gonna be really cool. 3 new drop sets in Vardenfell. Now, these drop from world bosses, the public dungeon, the delves, things like that, and it has the same drop mechanics as all the others. If you want the jewelry, you can find the jewelry in the treasure chests, in the dungeons, the public dungeons, and at world bosses. The rest of it, delves drop belts and boots, world bosses drop weapons and certain armor types, and public dungeons have the same thing. Now, there are some bosses that drop specifics, but I'm not sure what those are. I didn't really get into that to find out, but there are some that drop specifics. Really good sense. War Maiden, though, just to give people a thing here with War Maiden, as you can see, it says it adds 400 spell damage to your magic damage abilities. That means if it does not say magic damage, it will not work for it. It has to say magic damage. So, Nightblades, really good set. Wardens, really good set for the magicka side, not the ice side. And Templars, this is a really good set for. Now, well, there's only one ability on the Templars that it uses non-magic damage. The rest of it's all magic damage. So this is a really good set for Nightblades and Templars if you're going for something that just utilizes their skills, their class skills, not using a magic staff or anything, just going for their class skills. And it does combo really well with the crafted set. Sorry, with the Shacklebreaker crafted set. Next up, we have the Defiler. Now, this is a really powerful set, too. It gives you weapon damage, weapon critical twice, and then on top of that, it has the thing that it spawns a hunger with an 8% chance that spews poison to all enemies in front of it, dealing 6,000 damage and stunning them the enemy hit for 5 seconds. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people thought this set was going to be OP. This set, you can't OP something when you have to wait for the hunger to spawn, then spew its poison, and then by that time all this happens, whoever you're trying to hit with it can move. So it's not a really OP set, but if you do get hit by it, you will know. And so in PvP, this is going to be like one of those, people are going to try it and not like it. In PvE, this can be a really powerful set if you're using a bow at ranged. Because the hunger will spawn and then attack those enemies. He can spew it pretty good distance too. Warrior Poet. This is a really powerful set, regardless of what a lot of people have said. This is a really OP set for tanking, because if you get the jewelry of this and then you get the sword and shield or something for a tank, you get all this. You get it'll be healthy on the jewelry, so you get the 3 things of health there. You get another thing of health. A thing of spell resistance. Now, this spell resistance is all the spell and physical resistance has been adjusted on armor sets by 25%. So now, instead of being like 1900 and something, it's 2540 or something like that. So you get 2540 resistances now. This is really powerful. Now, you do gain minor toughness, so that if you don't, if you're using Warhorn or something, you will not get the minor toughness from Warhorn. But it does give you that minor toughness where it increases your max health by another 10%. So if you're wearing heavy armor, you're wearing this, you're getting 20% max health. It doesn't matter the race. Now, you got to think, some races get, like the Imperial gets another 10% on top of that. That's 30% max health all the time. That's pretty OP. And then on top of that, they get another thing of max health. It's another 1,000 something health added to it. So it's a really kind of powerful thing. I'm not going to go through the trial sets. If you guys want to look at these yourselves, please check the link in the description below. There is a link to the patch notes there, and you guys can look at this. Very cool sets, though. Some of these are really cool, I'm not going to lie. Going up with the Battleground sets, these ones are all really cool, too. Yeah, I'm not going to get into them because there's a lot to talk about still. But really cool sets. We have new crafting motives. So there's 4 new motives to collect and craft. The Ashlander style can be learned from the Ashlanders of Vardenfell. Motives chapters occasionally be found as rewards from performing daily quests for Numani Resi or Huntmaster, whatever. The style item Ash Canvas can also be earned from the same quest. So you can earn some of it from quests, and you can earn some of it from other things. Then there's the Buoyant Armiger style. This motive motive chapters are rare, but show up more often in highly difficult chests and treasure map chests by quirk of fate, whatever, and themselves. The Island Living God, Vavik, are more likely to find its chapters or books than others. The style item, Volcanic Viridian, can be refined for Viridian Dust, which can be found uncommonly on any harvestable resource in Vardenfell. The Morag Tongue style. Motive chapters can occasionally be found in bounty dispensations or explorers dispensations rewards to those who complete the tasks for Hall of Justice. This style item, Boiled Carapace, can also be earned from the same quest. So, the Militant Ordinator. This is kind of like the classic Ordinator from Morrowind, not the new Ordinator set that's in Deshaun and stuff from the Dark Elves. It's a different Ordinator set, so it's really cool. The motives can be purchased for Alliance points from the different places, the Gladiator quarters, and can be refined from Dole, whatever, from the Alliance points from the same merchant. So you can get the material needed to make the style from these different things. Now, a lot of these sets are also based on the sets that also drop. The 3 drop sets are also based on, I think it's the Ashlander, the Buoyant Armiger, and then the Ordinator. I am not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure the 3 drop sets are those 3 sets. New homes. So we got 4 new homes, I think it is. We got the St. Delian Penthouse, which is pretty big. This one, the Harbor House. The Lake House is probably the biggest, I think, out of all 3. But they're all really nice places, really, really cool. New furnishing plans, so I'm not going to go through all that, but there is a lot of them. New collectibles, costumes, furnishings, head and body markings, mementos. This is all stuff you can get in-game. This is not something that you have to go buy. This is stuff you get in-game. New pets and new skins. So, fabrication sheath. Then you have to do the veteran mode of Halls of Fabrication. Get it? New titles, new dies. So we got new titles and dies with these things, and you can see where they are. They list them out pretty clearly. Champion point increase. So we got raised another 30 points for a maximum of 630. The champion point experience curve has been automatically adjusted with the new cap so that earlier champion points require less experience and can be earned faster. Champion system rebalancing. Stronger, more powerful, more useful passives have had their maximum values reduced, while weaker, more niche passives had their maximums increased. Now, a lot of people might not understand this. We'll get more into it when we get further down. Basically, they front-loaded the champion point system. If you haven't seen my video on the champion point system for Morrowind, go check it out. There's a lot in there that I explain about how to put points and place points and all that. Abilities and champion respecs. So we are getting a cheaper respec for the champion points. Are all getting we're getting a free respec there. After that, you do have to pay, as far as I can tell. But all skill respecs are going to be 1 gold per skill rather than the usual 50 skill points. And this will give us time to work on our characters, adjusting them and everything before the new release of the first instrumental patch. Skill line unlocking. This is the biggest I think they added to the game. Now you have to unlock your skills. The only ones you don't are class skills. Everything else, so armor skills, weapon skills, crafting skills, racial skill, all this stuff you have to unlock. And I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen added to a game in my life. And I think that's the one thing that they should have left out. And they've adjusted the leveling experience from 1 to 50. It's a lot easier to go from 1 to 50. Completing all the Morrowind stuff, according to what I've read, will take you to pretty much level 30, maybe a little bit higher. And you can always return to Morrowind whenever you want. So, Master Written Merchant update. Normal dungeon trophies. This is kind of cool. New hireling mail. So there's over 100 new mails, like what they say when they send us mail. I've never even really paid attention to that, but okay. PvP campaign updates. Rule set 7-day non-champ, 30-day non-champ, 30-day champ, and then 7-day rule set. Levels 10 to 49 non-champ. So these are the new changes they've made to it. And the different rule sets for it. So these are the new campaigns. These are the new rule sets. This is what we get to play by. So there's a 7-day non-champ, 30-day non-champion. These do not require or do not have champion points. Both the bottom ones do. Now 7-day one is basically like resources and stuff, gathering, capturing or whatever. And then of course this one right here is for just the regular map, and I think these are really cool. Serial reward updates. They've adjusted a lot of rewards and how you get them, kind of thing, and these are all the ones that they've adjusted. They've added some new ones. I think I don't think, well, no, actually I don't think there was any new sets added here. I think that it's just how you get the sets was how they did it. So ESO Plus membership, you get double bank capacity. So additional purchase of character slots, and then the new inverse kinetic system. You can toggle it on and off in the settings, which is good. It's toggled to default, or toggled off by default, which is great for me because I didn't really like it. I thought it was cool, but I didn't think it worked all that well. Some people might enjoy it, some people might not. Miscellaneous UI updates. This is really cool. They added a debuff buff tracker. So you'll see your buffs above your toolbar, and then underneath the enemy's toolbar at the top of the screen, you will see the debuffs that you apply to the enemy and some stuff. So it's really cool. I think that's a great change. Adding a new setting to control the visibility of attribute bars in addition to current behavior. You can always hide them or always show them. Added a new settings category, combat. This category includes combat-related UI elements such as combat text, resource numbers, such and such. It also has where the buff tracker is too. So that's kind of cool. Added a new section in the activity finder for Battlegrounds. So when you go to hit P and you open up your activity finder, Battlegrounds is now listed. We're going to skip through a lot of this stuff, combat and gameplay things. So Blade of Woe on Min or Mer Dream are found in the following public dungeons. So you can use the Blade of Woe in these new following dungeons, and it does work. The Minotaur Ram no longer knocks you behind the Minotaur. Thank you for fixing that. Going on, we're going to go through all this, enchanting, crafting. I'm not even worried about a lot of this stuff, because a lot of it's just minor changes like this one. The Sensei from the fight against Rakat will now spawn incorrectly. Like, going on down here, we are looking for the new changes to resource recovery changes. So resources have had an adjustment. You no longer have Magician or Warlord in the champion tree, and the way cost reduction and recovery passives work now, and everything from armor and all that, has been adjusted. And we'll get into this more down the line here. So these are general changes that are coming. Fixed numerous ability tooltips for grammar, spelling, and formatting. Any significant tooltip revisions will be called out specifically below. Synergy prompts will now display at the icon of the ability that granted the synergy. We fixed an issue where abilities and bonuses that allow you to ignore the movement speed penalty from sneak would stack, causing you to sneak at extremely high speeds. Reduce the duration of charge snare. So if you guys don't know, some charge abilities have a snare. They reduced it from 0.75 seconds to 0.5 seconds, and reduce the effectiveness of the charge snare by to 30% from 60%. This is more of PvP things. Cooldown being stamina or magicka. Oh, So being charged stamina when you block has been adjusted, is now 0.25 seconds from 5 seconds. So this means it's going to take a little bit more stamina or magicka to block, or it's going to go away quicker the more you block. So you don't want to hold block like repetitively is what they're basically trying to stop. Sneak attack can no longer grant a bonus to critical damage. Everyone's mad about this. I think it's a good thing, personally, because you can get a lot of damage out of this. And when you're wandering Cyrodiil, there was gankers, and they would just nuke you. So, roll dodge now grants a 2-second immunity to immobilization after the roll is complete. That's a really good change. Stamina abilities are now universally 15% cheaper than magicka counterparts, originally being 20% cheaper. This includes class abilities that morph into stamina abilities in addition to the weapon skill line abilities, which used to. So this, and it's kind of funny why they say it's universally cheaper. It used to be 20% cheaper. Now it's 15% cheaper. It's kind of an offset there, and it's cool. I like the changes there. Honestly, you don't notice it that much. Experience boosting consumables, items such as crown scroll, blah 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 blah. Yeah, we don't care. I don't care. Would unsummon your pet. Oh, so pets now will attack. If you attack an enemy, this is a cool one right here. Your summoned pets will now focus on attacking the target. You heavy attack. So when you heavy attack an enemy, it's kind of like directing your allies to attack them. So if you're fighting in a trial or whatever, and you really want that your pets to focus on that boss, just heavy attack them, and your pets will turn towards that boss and just start waylaying on them. You can no longer increase the total movement speed bonus to more than 100% of your base movement speed. That's a good change. Increased damage of light attacks by 15%, decreased damage of heavy attacks by 15%. Guys, trust me, this is not a big deal. It doesn't change it by a huge margin. It just changes it enough to where you can see the difference, and the difference is very minute, even on heavy attacks. Increase the resource restored by fully charged heavy attacks by 30%. This is awesome. They took away our resource return from or reduced costs and resource return from champion points, and now gave it back to us in heavy attacks, which really plays on this. I'm going to go through some of these changes later on in another video, showing all this, the return and how it works and all that. Reduce the cast time of fully charged bow heavy attacks by 10%. To compensate for the increased attack speed, the damage for bow heavy attacks has been reduced by an additional 10% for a total of 25%. The increased resources restored has been reduced by 10% for a total increase of 20%. So you do still get your resources back with this. They just adjusted it. So reduce the cast time of fully charged Flame and Frost heavy attacks by 12.5%. So they are quicker with the Flame and Frost. They didn't adjust lightning or healing, and that's because they have extra benefits from them. Like lightning hits multiple, and it's an AoE, so it hits multiple enemies. These are more single target, so making the heavy attacks on these a little bit faster kind of compensates for what the other ones get. And then of course the healing staff gives you major mending, and it gives you a tick heal, or it gives you a heal at the end. So that's why they didn't adjust those two. But it is pretty cool. They also changed the attack speed for Flame has been reduced to 12.5 for a total of 27.5% reduced speed, and then also resources restored have been reduced by 12.5 for a total of 17.5. So they still get a lot of resources back, by the way. Fully charged heavy attacks no longer restore resources if the attack is dodged or blocked. This is a great change, because this is something that a lot of us did bring up, is how that, like, if the attack's blocked or dodged, are they still going to get their resources back? A lot of us felt like it wouldn't be viable if they did block it, that we shouldn't get any resources back. That was kind of, that. And I'm glad they put that in. Increase the damage bonus done to off-balance targets with heavy attacks to 70% from 45%. That's a huge difference, by the way. Fixed an issue where shock and restorations would continue channeling on a target that broke your line of sight. So that's kind of a fix. There's some other stuff in here. So these are the class changes. If anyone doesn't know about the class changes, we'll get to that. But here's another thing. Fix the issue where consuming a potion of magic is the health would not correctly refresh the effect. Magicka Steel reduced the amount of Magicka Steel to 300 from 400. This was a lot of this stuff I'm going through was already mentioned on patch notes, but I kind of want to go over it again just so people know that this is going to be here today. You can't stop it. It's here. Fiery Grip. For Dragon Knight, we got some new changes. Ardent Flame Fiery Grip reduced the cost of the ability and morphs by approximately 7%. Inferno reduced the cost of this ability and morphs by approximately 33%. Lava Whip reduced the cost of this ability and morphs by approximately 10%. All three of these abilities did need some major changes, and I'm glad that they made them the way they did, because now they're not so costly and they really help out when you want to use them. In Hell, reduce the cost of this ability and its morphs by approximately 6%. That's a good change. Spiked Armor, reduce the cost of this ability and its morphs by approximately 16%. This is going to make the DK a little bit more important of a tank than it already was because of this. This makes that stand out a little bit more for tanking. The only ones that have a really low cost buff for increasing their stamina and magicka is the Nightblade and the Templar before. Now the DK has a lower cost. It's going to be around 2.5, maybe 2.8k. I didn't really check it, sorry guys. After this change went in this last update, I didn't check it because I was too busy checking a bunch of other things. I wasn't really worried about that change. So, Earth and Heart, Battle Roar. This passive ability now restores an equal amount of health, magic, and stamina when you use an ultimate ability, and the amount you get is based off your max level instead of your max resource, which makes a lot of sense, because when it's based off your max resource, if you had a lot of magicka or a lot of health and then hardly any stamina, you would get more of those things, but not the stamina. And then now it's an equal amount. So if you use your Battle Roar, which anytime you cast an ultimate, it gives you so much health, stamina, and magicka back. Now it's like, boom, now you get everything. And you get so much, it's not even funny. Helping Hands, this passive ability now restores stamina based on the character's level instead of your max stamina. Another change I know a lot of people are mad about, but I do like this change. I think that it makes more sense. Because when you do something based off of max resource, it's always going to grant more. This is a definitive. That means it doesn't matter who's playing the class, everyone's getting the same amount at max level, and it's awesome. Igneous Shield, decrease the duration of major mending buff granted by this morph to 2.5 seconds from 6 seconds. Now, it does go in down here, major mending is extremely potent buff category for healing. The ease of which you are able to maintain it creates a system where only extreme damage can kill you because of your high health bar rapidly swings from nearly empty to full. This is the reason. I mean, you can't explain it any more than that. People were getting so much out of major mending from this that they would literally just be maxing their health constantly, like boom, 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 and it didn't matter. Almost any ability that goes cast on them would max out their health, because DKs get extra healing on top of that through their passives. Obsidian Shard, Stone Fist morph, fixed an issue where the friendly heal from this morph could be dodged, so that's kind of cool. So I understand why they made this change, and I think that it's a good change. Probably one of the best changes they could have made to the DK was by reducing the amount of major mending that they could have up at any given time, because it does. When you're fighting one of these guys in PvP, you can't kill them. When you're in a dungeon with one of these guys that's playing a DK, it makes them not as... This is their compensation for the reduced cost up here of Spiked Armor. And these two together with these changes now, the DK is still going to be the main tank. It doesn't matter. These changes do not affect main tanking to a certain degree unless you use the Igneous Shield. And if you use the Igneous Shield, now you get a 2.5 second cast of major mending. So, Nightblades, Assassination, Deathstroke, fixed an issue where this and Soul Harvest morphs were being mitigated off target's physical resistance instead of their spell resistance. That's a good change. Grim Focus, this is a kind of a cool one. A lot of people were kind of mad, but now when you cast it, you have a 20-second you cast the ability. It lasts for 20 seconds now. It used to be you'd cast it, you'd wait 20 seconds, Or you'd cast it, and then you'd fire off your 4 light attacks to get your proc, and then you'd have to recast it. Now you cast it, it stays for 20 seconds. You do 5 light attacks as many times as you can, and you can fire off this Assassin's Will as much as you want. If you're doing a light weave rotation, this might help you get some extra damage in there, and stuff like that. They also reduced the snare from the Merciless Resolve one. I think this is the stamina one, to where Assassin's Will bow procs for 3 seconds instead of 5. So it doesn't, you can't snare them for longer than 3 seconds now. So that's kind of cool. Shadow Barrier, this is what I'm really glad that they did the change on. It gives major ward, major result. It used to be 2 to 4 seconds, now it's 3 to 6 seconds, so you get this for a longer duration, even in light armor or medium armor. So you do get it for a longer period, and I'm glad they made that change because it really does help. The Shadow Cloak fixed an issue where the invisibility from this ability and its morphs was being broken by numerous abilities, including Reflective Light, Silver Shards, and Burning Talons damage over time effect. It doesn't affect them anymore. Shadow Image fixed an issue where this pet summoned by the morph was not critically striking based on your spell critical. That's a good change. Twisting Path increased the damage of this morph approximately 11%. That's really good. Leeching or Siphoning Strikes. So they did some different changes to Siphoning Strikes. Leeching Strikes now gives back stamina and a certain amount gives you back health and a certain amount of stamina every time you hit. And then at the end, it gives you a chunk of stamina back. So whenever the effect ends, so you can cast it, do some attacks, recast it, and you'll get a chunk of stamina. And then the same thing goes for siphoning attacks. This gives magicka back, and then whenever it ends, you get so much magicka back. Siphoning Strikes, this ability now causes your light and heavy attacks to restore health instead of magicka or stamina. So now it does health. Increase the duration of the ability and it's more to 20 seconds from 15 seconds, which is really good. Increase that duration. Reduce the cost of the ability and its morphs by approximately 50%. This thing, it's so cheap, it's not even funny. Sorcerer's got a nerf to Crystal Frags, where the instant cast procs it for 10% and the 10% damage from 20%. Dark Exchange, the ability and its morphs now have it has a increased cast time, and then increase the cast times and its ability to morph whatever to 1.2 seconds from 1 second. So they just did some minor changes there. Now this is the change everybody was waiting for. Summon Volatile Familiar, reduce the damage done by this morph special ability by 20%. So they did reduce the damage, which is good. It's no longer going to be super OP. The Twilight Matriarch also got a thing fixed where it was healing through walls, and they removed that, so that's a good change. Templar got Age experiability changes. Blazing Shield reduced the amount of damage done by this morph by 2, 33, 36, 39, and 42% of the damage absorbed by this shield, down from 50, 51, 52, and 53%. So now it only returned 42% of the damage back to the enemy, or back to the enemy when it comes off. Because it was OP. I'm not gonna lie. I use this on my main tank, so it was really powerful. Blazing Spear, the morph now increases the damage over time by approximately 30% of the effect. Morph effect, so they increase the damage of Blazing Spear, and Luminous Shard got a dot damage thing applied to it. The morph now causes the synergy to always restore magicka and stamina if it restores the current value of magicka or stamina to your highest maximum value and half the value of to the opposite resource. So that's kind of a nice change. Piercing Javelin got an 8 meter knockback from 5 to give it some CC. They explain down here the spear shards change and why they made it, and then they go into here explaining why the Luminous Shard no longer disorientated enemies. It now deals moderate additional damage over time. So what they did with these two, with the Luminous Shards and Blazing Spears, Blazing Spear and Luminous Shards share the same effect. They both do damage over time now, and they each give back a certain amount of resources back to their allies. Now, Blazing Spear will only give back magicka or stamina to the player, to a player, whatever is the highest value they have. Luminous Shards, though, does a certain amount of damage when it hits, and then it does so much damage over time. A little bit of damage over time, and it does both magic and stamina back to the ally, but it gives them whatever their maximum is, they get the bigger chunk of, and then whatever their lowest value is, they get a small chunk of. So it does give out both. So that's kind of a nice change. I do like it. I have messed with it on test. I personally like it. Dawn's Wraith, couple abilities here got changed. Backlash, they fixed an issue where the final damage dealt from this ability and it's more so respecting its damage limit when used against damaged shields. It was not respecting its damage limit. So it was giving a lot of damage to the person and just basically ripping right through their shields. It was kind of OP, but okay. Eclipse, I never really used this ability in this Morse. So this ability in this Morse now lasts for 3.5 seconds, down from 6 seconds. Can no longer be removed with break free. After the effects ends, enemies will now gain CC immunity. Reduce the cost of this ability in this Morse by approximately 20%. Nova. Now this one I do have to say, a lot of people don't understand what this change does. This is a great change. This ability now applies major maim instead of reducing the target's damage by 30%. Major maim reduces the damage that an enemy does by 30%. So all enemies, I think, in the circle now get major maim. So even if they walk out of it, I think it's still applied to them for a certain amount of time. They also decrease the time it takes for it to hit the ground to 0.5 seconds from 0.75 seconds, which is you don't really notice, but hey, whatever works. You do notice because it is like boom, but it's not like before where it was like cast and it was like boom. Power of the Light, Backlash Morph fixed an issue where the damage from this morph could be dodged. Purifying Light fixed an issue where the heal from this morph could not critically strike. Now that's awesome, Purifying Light can critically strike. Restoring Light. So the Templar got a lot of weird stuff done to it. I'm not going to lie. But I think a lot of it was to help balance this class out against other classes and their capabilities at healing, even though they're still better healers. So the Restoring Light Mending passive now increases healing done by restoring light abilities by 12% based on the target's missing health, up from 10%. So they increased this value, but down here, if you look, Sacred Ground, they removed Major Mending and gave you Minor Mending. Minor Mending is an 8% healing increase as long as you're standing in any of your Cleansing Ritual, your Rune of Focus, or Rite of Passage area of effects. So that's kind of cool. The Repentance also got a change. Repentance now gives health and stamina back to the character who cast it, but health only to the allies. So stamina will only go back to the casting Templar, but continues to restore health to the casting Templar and their allies. So it's a really kind of a neat change. I think it's a neat change personally because it plays on stamina builds better than it should have on healers. No offense, but it should have been designed for stamina builds, not healers. No offense to anyone out there. And I think this is a good change. This will really help with my tanking, hopefully. And now people are going to be like, yo, but if you have two Templars in your group, then you're going to have to fight off each other. No, we're not. If they need the resources more than I do, then they can get them. I can get mine back from heavy attacks. I'm a tank. I only took this ability to give resources back to my allies. So, and to give me some stamina when I needed it. I wasn't worried about the stamina to everyone else because most of the people I played with were magic based. They didn't need the stamina. So, it didn't matter. Rite of Passage, this ability now grants major protection for 10 seconds at rank 4 instead of giving allies a 20% damage reduction. So now it grants major protection to your allies for 20, instead of this. So that's kind of cool. Rush Ceremony fixed an issue where this ability and its morphs would occasionally not display the full animation. This ability and its morphs now heal friendly targets in a 180-degree cone in front of you instead of the target in a radius around you. This is a good change, guys, because it's going to make healers have to play smarter. They're going to have to focus on their targets to hit them. That's a good change. Sorry. Sacred Ground, again, major mending, minor mending. Here's some great changes to two-handed. So you guys know how they increase light and heavy attacks by 15% and reduce heavy attacks by 15%? Cleave increased the damage over time of this ability by approximately 16%. This puts it closer to be on par with that of Dual Wield's Twin Slashes. Forceful. This passive ability now deals splash damage to 3 targets up from 2, and the splash damage has been increased to 50% from 25%. This 13 and 25% is when you put 1 point into it first. Most of us are at max level, so we have all of our points into it. So that 50% extra damage is insane. You really see it now, the amount of damage. Reverse Slice reduced the cost of its ability in Morse by approximately 27% to make this more appealing to people who want to play with two-handed. So it's kind of a nice change. Dual Wield Blade Cloak has had its damage, the effect, increase the area of effect damage reduction of this ability and its Morse to 25% from 25% to 25% from 20%. Jesus, I can't even talk. So basically what they did was they adjusted this one's value from 20% to 25% damage reduction from area of effect. So that's a really good change. But it plays really well with one of your CP things. Now going next on Twin Slashes, increase the cost of this ability in Morse by approximately 60%. Destruction Staff, this is a good one. Trifocus. This passive splash damage with lightning staves is no longer increased by damage modifiers. So it just does the extra splash damage, and that splash damage does not get increased by damage modifiers. It really balances out how much damage you do with a lightning staff now. Bow. Heavy attacks now automatically fire when fully charged. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I think it's a good change. It works out really well. Rapid Fire and Volley both had some instrumental changes done. Updated the visual effects of this ability and Toxic Barrage Morph. Fixed the issue where this ability and Toxic Barrage Morph would ignore line of sight. Volley increased the cost of this ability and its Morse by approximately 30%. So they increased the cost. Fixed an issue where this ability and its Morse were not lasting for their full duration, causing you to miss out on 2 ticks of damage. So they fixed that. That's kind of a great thing. Light Armor changes. So Light Armor did get some changes. They swapped Evocation and Recovery passives in the skill line window. Evocation is now a 2-point passive, originally 3-point. It now reduces the cost of magic abilities by 2% per piece, down from 3%. So you are no longer going to get a lot of reduced cost from wearing this. 10% in 511, and if you're going for 7 pieces, you will get 14%. Recovery is now 3-point cost, originally 2-point. It now increases your magic curve by 4% per light armor. Like this, it does the same thing that it did before. It just does it with 3 points instead of 2 points. Medium Armor Windwalker, this passive ability now reduces the cost of stamina abilities by 2% per piece of medium armor, down from 3%. Heavy Armor Constitution, they adjusted the amount of return you get from every time you're hit from Constitution, because Constitution you can get so much magic and stamina restored by this passive ability by approximately 42%. They reduced it, so it's a good thing, I think, because tanks are kind of OP, and heavy armor is overused in PvP right now, so they're trying to get heavy armor not to be one to be used a lot, and it's still not going to change anything. People are going to still live for heavy armor in PvP. But it's still, I like this change personally. I don't think it's going to affect tanking that much as people think. In fact, I know it doesn't. World, Soul Magic, Shatter Soul, Assault Morph, fixed an issue where the rank 4 of this morph could be removed by Purge. Werewolf Pounce fixed this issue where this ability is not applying Charge Snare to the target enemy. And then Fighter's Guild, Dawnbreaker, fixed an issue where the damage of this ability and its morphs was being mitigated off target spell resistance instead of physical resistance. I didn't even know this was going on. So you're going to see an increase in your damage now with this ability. That's kind of cool. Mage's Guild, Radiant Mage Light. The morph no longer passively reduces your damage taken by sneak attacks. It continues to passively prevent stun from sneak attack. So they left that alone, but they did that. And it reduced the cost of morph by approximately 10%. Undaunted changes. Mystic Orb and Necrotic Orb. Basically what they did with this is it shares the same thing with Blazing Spear Shards, where it gives back so much stamina and magicka based on the person's maximum resource instead of like it was before. And this morph now increases damage, the damage the orb deals. So Mystic Orb, the damage was increased. Necrotic Orb restores both stamina and magicka, and both morphs still give stamina and magicka, but only to the max resource. Assault Skid Lines, Vigor had its cost increased by 30%. Caltrops had a major reduction in a lot of things. So reduce the size of the ability, And its morphs to 8 meters from 12 meters, reduce the duration of the ability in its morphs to 12 seconds from 30 seconds, and then reduce the cost of the ability in its morphs by approximately 50%, and then they increase the damage of the ability in its morphs by approximately 75%. So it didn't matter what they did. With this, by doing what they did, they decreased a lot of stuff, and then increased its damage to compensate for the change of the 30 seconds to 12 seconds. So that's kind of cool. I'm glad that those changes got put in. And they do stack now, so you can cast, like, multiple people can cast this and it'll stack the damage, so it's going to be a little OP, but it's still pretty cool. Argonian skills, resourceful. This ability now restores magic, health, and stamina based on your character level instead of max resource. Red guards, adrenaline rest. This passive ability now restores stamina based on your level instead of your maximum resource. Dark anchors also got to change. I want to go over this change real quick and explain to you guys what this is. Standing still while in combat with a dark anchor now causes an exemplar charge to or extraplanar charge to gradually accumulate at your location. A charge that has built to critical levels explodes, damaging those who contributed to its growth and significantly reducing their health recovery. So your health recovery goes to pretty much 0, and you cannot regenerate your health. You have to get healed, and if you don't get healed, you're not getting any of your health back at all. Like it like removes your health recovery almost completely. It's insane. Like I had it hit me just to test it, and I had 0 health recovery. I think it's a really cool thing. Champion point changes. These are awesome. So the champion point system has received a major rebalancing efforts this update. Categorized and standardized the 100-point values, made passive values more front-loaded, adjusted and redesigned several passives so they're now counter to each major category of champion passives. So there's a lot of counterplay with champion points. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and they go through a lot of this. They show here that there's like these ones now only give 15%. The next up, these ones only give 25%, and then you have your 35% ones here, and then you have your 55% one, and then they adjusted these to be so front-loaded. They are OP now. It is awesome. So these are a lot of good changes. I love the changes that they made here. It's very front-loaded. Now here's the one that I want to point out to a lot of people. The health, magic, and stamina percentage increases from investing into red, blue, and green constellations now cap at 20% obtained by reaching 300 CP, 100 in each constellation. So what this means is when you put 100 points into the green tree, 100 points in the blue tree, 100 points in the red tree, so 300 CP total, you will get a 20% increase to your total health, magicka, and stamina. Yeah, that's a lot. And that's why like CP 600 players are so overpowered to people under that, right? Like they were on live. Now they're not going to be so OP. So it kind of offsets them, and it's really good. So they rechanged some stuff. So Bow Expert, rename this passive Master Arms. This passive now increases your damage done with direct damage attacks instead of increasing your light and heavy attack damage with bows. The old effect has been rolled into Physical Weapon Expert, and this new is now the Aesthetics for Ironclad. So it has its counterplay is Ironclad. Melee Weapon Expert. Rename this ability to Physical Weapon Expert. This passive ability now also increases your light and heavy attack damage with bows, along with all other stamina-based weapons. The Lever Tenacity fixed an issue where the champion passive's heavy bonus to heavy attacks values was slightly lower than intended. It actually gives it back now. Shadow Tumbling. This passive ability now reduces the cost of dodge roll and no longer reduces the cost of break free. So this is a really good one for people in medium armor. It used to give you reduced dodge roll or break free, but now it just does dodge roll, and that dodge roll has been increased. So you get more out of tumbling when you put the more points you put into it. Or you get more out of tumbling the less points you put into it. That's what I want to say. The Steed, Ironclad. This passive now reduces damage taken from direct damage attacks instead of reducing the duration of crowd control abilities against you. So that's kind of a new change. I kind of like it and everything. The Tower Magician, renamed this passive to Siphoner. This passive ability now reduces an enemy's health, magic, and stamina recovery for 3 seconds when you damage them with a light or heavy attack instead of reducing the cost of their magic abilities. So instead of it reducing cost of your magic abilities, this is that thing that they were talking about where it plays off something else. This is like the PvP change for that thing. It's really cool. Warlord, this is your break free cost now. It's that simple. They did some other changes and stuff, general fixes, alchemy, blacksmithing, blah, 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 master writs, woodworking. We're going to go down because we're going to get into some of this. Dungeon changes, increase the reputation restored for completing undaunted pledges on normal difficulty. You now get the same amount of reputation for any pledges that rewards a single undaunted key, regardless of whether it was completed on normal or veteran difficulty. Completing a veteran challenge and receiving 2 undaunted keys continues to award more reputation. This is a great change because now everyone can do normal dungeons instead of having to do the veteran difficulty to get the greater undaunted experience. Now you can do it in normal mode and get that. So don't be stressed about this. This is a good change, I think. Exploration and itemization, consumables. Oh, all costs poisons have been reduced in effectiveness. Instead of increasing enemy resource costs by 60%, they now only increase the enemy resource cost by 30%. So that's kind of a nice change. It's to kind of play off this all these different changes. I think it's really good. Dungeons and Trials leaderboards reward for the trial of the week now match the specific trial instead of being based on rewards from just Mob Lorcha. Fixed an issue where Mad Mortine in Spindle Clutch 2 would award more than intended under very specific circumstances. They fixed a lot of stuff basically with the dungeons and trials and stuff. Item sets. Now some item sets got some changes. I'm glad for a lot of these changes. So they fixed an issue where that allowed rings and bands of the Shadow Walker as well as rings of the Hawkeyes to appear with armor enchantments instead of jewelry enchantments. So that's kind of a nice change. This one right here, the following item sets has 2-piece bonus as spell critical instead of max health. So the ones that used to have max health, like Light Speakers, Nature's Touch, Spider Cultists, and Yoskamir, all got theirs changed to critical. And it's to kind of make them more appealing to players to use them because they weren't getting used by a lot of people. And they are effective sets. They do all have their different benefits. Light Speaker increases your healing done through spell damage. Nature's Touch increases your shock damage. This one increases your staff, destruction staff damage by so much magic damage. And Yoskamir is the thing that increases your ice magic damage. So that's kind of a cool thing. The following for the next, they did weapon critical instead of so Strength of the Automaton and Sword Dancer. They share very much to the Sword Singer set now. So instead of giving max health, they give critical. The Strength of the Automaton is a really cool set, and so is Sword Dancers. Bone Pirate Tatters reduce the stamina recovery granted by this item by 50%. So 150 stamina recovery at gold down from 300. That's a good change. Sorry, it is. Spellweave decreased the proc chance to 15% from 20 and adjusted and decreased the spell damage bonus to 525 from 600. It was a really OP set, and they even say that it was really powerful, and that it made it really popular because of the fact it was so easy to get that 525 when using flame damage. So Engine Guardian fixed an issue where there's some parts of the visual effects from the health beam proc were not displaying. Izamara fixed an issue where this item set was not reducing the cost of Panacea and its morphs. Thank you. Panacea's Guile. This item set now passively applies Minor Defile for 2 seconds to any enemy that comes within 5 meters of you. So this makes it a lot harder to wander the open world with that set. Hiracine's Veneer increased the stamina recovery bonus granted by this item set to 12% from 10%. I think that's a good change, honestly. I think this is going to make it maybe more viable for people to use. Mullikenna fixed an issue where the overkill proc from this set would still trigger even when you did not perform 2 consecutive light. They also reduced the overkill cost penalty to 20% from 33%. So that's kind of good. Pirate Skeleton, this item set no longer procs if the damage you take is fully absorbed by a damage shield. So this, you have to get hit. You have to take physical damage, like literally physical damage, in order for it to proc. And they increased the proc chance to 8% from 6%. They did drop it on the test. Robes alteration fixed an issue where this item set was not reducing cost of sprint, bash, or block. Shulk fixed an issue where this item set's ultimate generation was causing you to become stuck in combat. Sheer Venom fixed an issue, mitigated the target's spell resistance instead of their physical resistance. Soul Shine fixed an issue where the set was not granting its spell damage bonus to drain essence and its morphs. Stormmaster fixed an issue where this item set's proc could stack. That sucks that it could do that, but I'm glad that they fixed it. Stygian. This item set no longer increases spell damage and max magicka by 20% while sneaking or invisible. Instead, it increases your damage done with magic abilities by 20% while sneaking or invisible. It was an OP set, no offense, for PvP. Swamp Raider fixed an issue where this item's set bonus would exponentially proc when dealing damage under specific circumstances. It's supposed to be based off of any magic damage you do, and it wasn't working that way. It was proccing off of any damage you did, and so that's kind of a nice change. I think it's cool change myself, but a lot of people might be mad. Sherman scale reduced the duration of the snare applied by the set to 4 seconds instead of 8 seconds. That's cool. Troll King, this item set now procs when you heal a friendly target, and they are still below 50% health, reduced originally from 60%. So it's going to make that a little bit more nicer for PvP and everything like that. Twiceborn Star, removing this set or obtaining a third mana stone while wearing this set will now remove the older of the current 2 mana stone effects instead of the newest one. Worm's Remnant, they decreased the magic ability cost reduction granted by this item set to 4% from 5%. This right here, it bothers me, but it doesn't, because it really doesn't make a difference. I mean, because you're getting a reduced cost from your armor, and you're getting this reduced cost. So it's just, you'll notice from everything, all the different reductions, you're going to notice the cost thing, but this doesn't make it's like stupid. That 1% doesn't even make a difference. PvP merchants, the offense and defense boxes of equipment, and the elite gear merchants now have a small chance to obtain a purple quality item instead of the usual blue quality item. That's a nice change. Thank you. They fixed quest rewards in some areas. Housing has been done, got some changes. I'm not going to go through all that. It's just too much. Miscellaneous changes, grouping tool. This is what everyone's been waiting for. Fixed an issue where you could get teleported out of a dungeon after entering when using the grouping tool. Thank you for fixing it, but I'm gonna test the crud out of that to make sure. Fixed an issue where you could occasionally not receive your rewards for completing a random dungeon. Fixed an issue where you would occasionally see some status messages such as activity completed at the incorrect times. So those are some nice. Quest in Zone Change Daily Delve quest acquired from Bulgrul the Undaunted now awards significantly more reputation. Yay! Sorry, I'm glad. I've been doing Daily Undaunted for the Delves also on top of the daily dungeons. And this really is going to make a big difference. So, Alakir Desert adjusted the puzzle found lost city of Natumba, so you can consistently complete it with other player characters nearby. Cold Harbor stuff, no longer freezes the class. Lyris, yeah, okay, whatever. Craglorn changes. They got Fighters Guild changes. Fixed an issue where a leaf could appear in the Tower of... Okay, Fighters Guild Storyline. Groutwood. Okay, so these are all quest changes. There's some UI changes. Lots of UI changes, actually, when it comes to, like, buff symbols and everything. They've changed a lot of those. So gamepad mode, they fixed a lot of issues with this, guys, and I'm glad that they did, because I do use a gamepad from time to time. So this is going to make it a lot easier for a lot of us to be able to use the gamepad and make more use out of it for PC play, and also on hopefully on consoles and stuff as well. Gameplay, attempting to disband a group while inside a group instance will now warn you that you will be removed from the instance by doing so. NPCs could appear. To have 0 health. Healing values and ability tooltips now will now include the bonus received from that powered trait. So let's see, and that is it. Now we got maps, stuff. So that's pretty much it with the changes coming out. I'm excited for a lot of these changes. I can't wait. I'm actually going to check and see if the game is up now. I don't know. It looks like it could be. Because usually if you click on that, it'll say, oh, well, you can't get in still. So the servers are probably up by now. If you guys want to go get on and start playing, experiencing all these changes, I am personally super excited for a lot of this stuff. I know a lot of people aren't, but hey, we don't get to, really say what we enjoy and don't enjoy. So I'm excited. I can't make decisions for everybody else, but I'm excited for a lot of these changes. I'm going to go jump into Morrowind now, guys, and get on my Warden. On my new Warden I'm going to create. I'm going to start leveling them up as quickly as I can and get through a lot of that stuff so I can do that. I do have some new videos coming out later this week talking about a lot of different things, plus some new build videos because of the changes that came with Morrowind. I'm going in and adjusting some of my builds and also bringing you guys some new ones. Those will be through time, though, not right away. So give me some time to get the gear gathered up and everything, and then I'll be bringing you those builds. I'll also be bringing 2 Warden builds to you guys, a healer build and a DPS build, kind of. So, but that's it for now, guys. I do want to thank you all for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, hit that subscribe button. I try to post videos on a weekly basis, and here lately I've been doing a lot more than one, so that's a good thing. But once things slow down, I'll probably go back to doing 1 a week, along with some other games. I do have some other games I'm looking at doing videos with, especially with one game coming out this fall. I don't want to say any names, but everyone can guess. But other than that, that's it for now. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Bye.